My name is Diane DeRogatis. We're going through a lot of rough times right now, and I just thought today would be a nice day to kind of clear our minds. Let's think of more optimistic things. Let's be positive about things. So I thought maybe we could work together on a little art project today that maybe lift our spirits. I'd like to work on a project that has to do with spring. Spring is about rebirth, renewal, looking forward to better times, and I think that's what we all need to do today. So I just want to go over a few things with you, show you the composition we're going to be making, and also show you the tools that we're going to be needing in order to do this. So keeping the theme in mind of spring, I thought it might be kind of fun to do a very whimsical, fun, and easy project for us today to finish up. It's going to be great. You do not have to be an artist to do this. Just have a clear mind, positive attitude, have some supplies, some good paints, and we're going to be all ready to go. So let's start. You're going to need a canvas or a board or any kind of wood panel. It does not have to be an actual canvas, and it could be any size. The size I'm working with today is an 11 by 14. You do not have to do an 11 by 14. Whatever size canvas or board or piece of wood that you have is going to work just fine. So don't worry if you don't have the exact size or the exact kind of material that I'm working with. The second thing we're going to need are brushes. I have a few here. You really only need 3. You're going to need a larger brush in order to cover some larger areas on our painting. You're going to need, this is a little small, but a medium to small round brush. We're going to be using this to sketch out some of the things we need to put on our canvas. And the last one, a very fine, small detail brush. This is for the very end. This is before we do anything. We're going to do this at the very, very end of our painting. If you don't have an easel, you're more than welcome to use just a stack of little books, maybe, 5-6 inches high, just to give it a little lean, something for you to work on. You do not have to have an easel to work on this painting. You're going to need a palette. We're going to use paper plates, whatever you happen to have. We're going to be utilizing this to mix our paints and to keep our paints on. You're going to be needing a cup of water. The water for acrylic paints is only needed to rinse and clean our brushes when we transition to another color. So, that being said, when you do that, make sure that you get all the paint off your brush, make sure it's nice and clean, and always at the very end, use your paper towel, squeeze the water out. Any excess water in your brush is going to cause drips to come down your canvas. We don't want that to happen. So every time you transition and you rinse your brush, make sure you squeeze the excess water out. Of course, the most important tool and the important material we're going to need are paints. Don't have to have special kind of paints. You can use any kind of acrylic paint. They can be craft paints. If you have other kinds of acrylic paint, tubes paint, anything will be fine. And you don't need a lot of colors either. You only need your primary colors. You're going to need yellow, your blue, and your red. With these colors, we can mix anything. You're also going to need white for your highlights and your tints, and black for your shading. Before we do anything, I just want to make sure I give you guys the time to just set up, make sure you have your canvas, something to work off of, your palette, your brushes, your paints, your water, some paper towels. So for now, get yourself set up, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. I hope you guys are all set up and ready to go. We're going to start out with our medium to small round brush, not our tiny detail one, but our round brush. And the reason why we're using this one like a pencil, instead of using a pencil, we're going to sketch with some paint and use this brush. I'd like you guys to take a color, preferably a blue in this particular instance. And we're going to use just one color now to sketch out our painting. Squeeze about a quarter size on your palette. Ooh, if I can get it out. Oh, let's take that off. Don't be afraid to put too much on there because we're going to utilize this blue when we're done with this as well. So if you feel like, oh, that's way too much, I poured too much on my plate, don't worry, we're going to use it anyway. So if you look at our piece right here, we have 4 figures. Just think of it in terms of geometric shapes. There's going to be a lot of circular motion here. A lot of wrist movement, okay, just for basic strokes. Don't think that it has to be exactly spot on right now. This is just placing our objects, just placement of where our objects are going to be. And we're not going to sketch out everything. We're going to keep it nice and simple. So if you look at our canvas, the first image is not in the center. It's a little bit off to the right here. And if I'm looking at that shape, it's almost like a teardrop, a sideways kind of fat teardrop. So we're going to take our brush and keep it on the bottom, and we're going to make a very chubby little bird. That looks like a sideways teardrop. That's it. That's all we're going to do to sketch it out right now. Reapply some paint on your brush. We're going to work on our second bird. Again, geometric shapes. Think about the size of the body you want for them. And we're going to take it, and we're going to do a nice big circle just above our little slanted teardrop. And another smaller circle for the head, right about here. Doesn't have to be exact, wherever you want it to be. Now we have our 2 birds already placed on our canvas. Next one is our third bird. It's going in the opposite direction as the one on the bottom. I'm going to start from the tail, bring it up, curve it, and meet back at the tail end again. So right about now, you should have 3 shapes on your canvas. The last one is going to be very similar to the one we just did. Reapply the paint, but we're going to do it the opposite way. Start with the tail, bring it up and around, and meet at the tail again. We have our flowers next to do. We don't have to draw the stem. We don't have to draw the leaves. Just want you to place where the flowers go. And they could be anywhere you want. Again, this is your piece. It could be any color you want. It could be any kind of flower you want. I want you to kind of put a little bit of yourself into this. You don't have to copy it exactly. So I kind of like the idea that the flowers are kind of pointing to a bird. So I think I'll put a little like a nubby thing here. Kind of looks like a thumb. I'm going to place it right about there. Okay, add 3 petals to it. Another teardrop shape. 1, 2, and 3. Real simple. It's not real intricate and detailed. I'm going to do a second flower. Same thing. I think I'll put this one right about here. And again, the petals. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Don't want to leave my brush out. We're kind of done with this one for now. So let's rinse it out really good in our water. Take your paper towel, wipe it off, make sure all the color's out of it so it's nice and clean, and squeeze the excess water. Next step, we're going to paint the background. Remember I said before, don't worry if you have too much paint on there, because we're going to need actually to put more. We have to cover the whole background. We're going to make it a light blue. I'm going to pour a little bit more blue on there. We're going to be using a lot of it. And this time I'm going to add my white and put my white with it. Whoop. There we go. Now we're going to go back to our big brush. Remember I told you about our angled brush here? Now if you don't have an angled brush or a flat brush, that's fine. It's kind of like cooking. If you ever like to cook and you have certain tools or certain pots and pans and certain utensils you like to use, everybody has a favorite. This just happens to be my favorite. So kind of feel your way through your brushes. Use the one that works best for you. I just happen to like this. Okay, I like the way it covers a lot of ground. I like the angle on it so I can turn it and I can cut into this little sharp corner sometimes that I need to do. So it's a personal preference what kind of brush you want to use for this. So right now I'm going to cover the entire background and I'm going to use just the blue and the white. Take it. I'm not going to mix the whole thing together. I'm going to start out with the light blue. And we're going to paint the entire background. Don't be afraid to go up to the very edge and even kind of sweep over your shape, because we don't want to have those lines that just stop and then start again. Kind of bleed it right into there, because we can always paint over acrylic paint. It doesn't have to be exact. The beauty of acrylics, we can always go over our mistakes. This could take a little while. And you might need 2 coats on it, because you can see here, because right now I'm just applying the paint, it's going to look a little blotchy. So when you are done painting the entire thing in the background, we're going to go over it again one more time to just smooth out those streaky lines and that blotchiness to it. Okay, try to keep your strokes even, back and forth. I don't want to see a lot of this. You cover more ground if you just use broad strokes back and forth. Cut into the corners and those kind of funny little angles there. There you go. Just cover it all up. It's okay to lose some sight of some of those lines, because we're really not done shaping our birds yet. We'll do that a little bit later. Okay. And start smoothing it out. So while we're doing this, I want you guys to think about doing the edges too. If you don't want to frame your piece, gives it a nice finished look, now's the time to do it. When you paint the sides and the edges and the bottom of your canvas, it's called a gallery wrap. So I want you guys to work on your gallery wrap as well as just painting the background on your painting. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys the time to do this. So take your time. Make sure you have enough paint on your palette so you can start mixing it a little bit more. And when you are completed your entire canvas in the background, I want you to hit it again with nice smooth strokes back and forth. Give it some time to dry. This is also the opportunity when you are done with that to clean your brush again. Rinse it out really, really well, because if we're using it again, we got to keep our colors nice and bright and clean. So for now, I want you to, I'm going to take a break with you. Continue working on this. Finish your entire background. When have a cup of coffee, go get a cup of tea, get yourself a glass of wine, whatever you want to do to give yourself some time just to let it dry. And I'll see you again in a few minutes. Hi, welcome back. Hope you guys got everything all set up. You're all ready to go. Brush is clean, clean water, new palettes. All right, so we're going to get started on our next step. As you can see, my line's still a little fuzzy here. It's okay, because this is the most important part. I want you to go back with a brush. It could be the same one that you used to sketch with. It could be a small flat brush, whatever you happen to have that's available. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my white, only my white. This is where I'm going to take the opportunity to reshape my birds. I'm going to go over it, really make those lines more defined. Okay. Cover up that sketchiness there that we got going on, and really establish the true shape that we want our birds to be. Got that little head there. I like very fat birds. I think at this time, this is the time, spring, everyone's having their babies. So we want nice full bellies. Fill them up real good. Again, keep those geometric shapes nice and round. Clean edges. I'm going to make my tail on this guy, which are kind of like little rectangles hanging off. Let it be fun. Make it fun. Don't get too caught up with real fine details at this point. Don't need to. May not look like much now, but believe me, it's going to come out really, really well. Okay. Next one here. Once we cover it up, we're going to take our very small brush. We have some detail work we have to kind of establish certain features on our birds in just a minute. Let's go over our flower. Let's get those petals on there. Petals on there. Just kind of have to reestablish where all of our figures are. Okay. Gonna rinse. We don't want our brushes to get all hard. We don't want to leave our brushes set down on the table with paint on them, so make sure you're always rinsing them off every time you're done using it. Let's go back and let's go to our detail brush, that real tiny one we talked about earlier. We're going to use our white, and this is where we need to add our beaks and our tail feathers. So we're going to figure out where our beak is going to go. A little one here. A little one here. They're just little triangles. Again, don't get away from the concept of just using geometric shapes. It's all we need to do. A beak there. A beak here. Okay. Starting to look a little bit more like birds now, right? Here you go. We're going to now do our tail feather. And again, just a smaller version of our little teardrops that we did earlier. 1, 2, 3 little teardrops. And 1, 2, 3 little teardrops. And last but not least, on the bottom, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Give this a little bit of time to dry up a little bit, and then we're going to go back and we're going to hit it with the color. Now, talking about the color, don't forget to rinse out your brush. When we talk about the color, you do not have to do the same colors I am doing. You may not even have some of these colors at home. So use whatever you have. Pick your favorite color. Think of spring. Think of some bright colors that you might want to use. Purples, greens, oranges, whatever you want to do. It's all up to you. So we're going to take another break. Again, go get yourself something to drink, stretch your legs, rinse out your brushes really good, and we'll come back and we're going to hit it again with some color. See you in a little bit. Welcome back again. All right, we're all ready to go. Going to add some color to this. Going to make it really pop. All right, take your time. FYI, if you really want to rush the drying time on this, if you don't really have the time or the patience to wait for it to dry, just hit a blow dryer on it. It'll get that paint dried a lot faster than you need to do, okay? So what we're going to start with next, utilize the colors that we already have. In this case, I think I'm going to, since I already have my blue, and I have a lot left over from when I did the background, I'm going to use that brush that I used to paint it with the white. Make sure the water's out of there. And I'm going to mix a darker blue. I'm still going to add a little white to it, but not quite as dark as it was before. Sometimes it's easier just to take the full color and blend while it's on the canvas already. So I'm going to go over my bluebird. And I have to be a little more careful than I've been in the past in terms of painting this, because this is our final color that we're going to be putting on here and shaping it for the last time. All right, now I'm going to get the little head. This little head's going to go right about there. There we go. That looks a little blotchy, and that's fine, because what we're going to do, we're going to take some white and we're going to blend it right on there. And just get the tail feathers. feathers go in there. Looks a little silly. It's going to look really good when it's done. Now, take your white. Blend it on the canvas. Spread it around. Even strokes. Really make this bird look really nice. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, it's going to take a little while. Easy on the brush. We don't want to push our brush into it because if we push into it, we're going to take paint away rather than adding it on. So we're just going to kind of let it fill in its color that way. I'm going to rinse my brush really, really well again. While that's kind of tacking up a little bit, because we're going to go back and add some more to it in just a little bit. We're going to move on to another color. Rinse your brush out really well. Because two of our birds, one is kind of more red, the other one's more pink, we're going to kind of on our palette use a separate plate, and we're going to start with a different color scheme. So I'm going to start with my red. I'm going to make a pink for the top one. And I'm going to paint right over it. Right on top. Cover up all that white that you already kind of shadowed out for the shape of your birds. One Tweety there. You can go over your feathers. Okay. Now we're going light to dark. We already have our pink established there. Because it's all in that family, we're going to go down to the other bird on the bottom, and this time we're going to add just some more red to the pink that we had. Make it darker. Just to give it some color variation. We're going to do the exact same thing with the bottom bird. I can't express enough, take your time. There's no hurry in finishing this, so just take your time. It's kind of a nice time too to add some variation of shading. So because my pink up on the top, I want the chest to be a little darker, so I'm going to use the red that I used on the bottom up on the top before it dries, and just kind of start blending in some darker areas, give it a little dimension, and then the opposite for the pink, for the red bird, I'm going to take some white and add some highlights on the top. There you go. I'll add a little bit more here, where the feathers or the wing would go. Okay. I'm going to rinse again. This is the time I want you guys to take your time. Go back and forth with it. Utilize the different shades and highlights that you can put in to your piece. I want to go back. I want to take some darker blue and hit it on my, there you go, on my bluebird there, because he's going to be darker in the belly. And around his head. And I want you to do the same thing for your yellowish orange bird. Then we're going to take a little break. I'm going to give you guys some time to work on this. And then I'll meet you back in just a little bit. When you're working with your yellow, add a little red to it. And just like we did before, you're going to paint your bird one color, and then go back and hit it with your shades and your tints. And you're going to touch your flowers as well using that same color. Once you have your color out, make sure you're utilizing it in all the other areas on your canvas that you need to do. Okay. I'm going to stop right here for now. I'm going to give you guys a time to finish up your birds. If you need to wait for a couple minutes or two to dry before you go back and hit it with some highlights and some tints, that is fine. We're going to stop right here, and I'll see you again in just a few. Hi, here we are again. Kind of in the home stretch now. So I'm hoping you have all the color on, okay, on your birds and your flowers. Now we're going to kind of get down to more of the detail work. Missing our legs. I kind of went ahead and took that same color we used for our orangey yellow bird, and I did their beaks, but we also need to do their legs. So we're going to take that color, which is a little bit of yellow and red mixed together, and we're going to stretch these legs out. I'm going to actually hold it down here. Sometimes you may have to take it off there. And I'm going to have this guy's legs really long. I'll hold that up in just a minute for you all to see. They're going to be standing on each other's backs. So we're going to stretch the legs out from each bird onto the one that is underneath it. We're going to be using our really tiny fine brush. Starts out thin, thinner, closer to the body, and it's going to kind of bell out like a pair of bell-bottom jeans on top of the bird that's underneath it. All with the same color. There's no need to complicate it. Okay. Once you have that, now we're going to start kind of concentrating on our flower. Fine brush. Rinse out. We already have our our yellow and our blue, so we're going to mix our green. It's so nice to have primary colors. We can make any color we want. So I'm going to mix a little bit of yellow with my blue, and I'm going to make a green. Tiny brush. I'm going to start about here, and I'm going to just bring it straight on down to the bottom. One stem. This guy, same thing. Straight on down to the bottom. While I have my green, I'm going to go back to that teardrop shape. We're going to add some leaves on our stem. You can go anywhere you want. Let the brush do the work for you. It shouldn't be that hard. If you use the right brush, you're going to change the direction of the way the paint goes by adding a little pressure on and off your brush. So I'm going to start from the top, pressure down, easy at the top, pressure down, and just kind of paint it in there like that. While you have your green out, you might want to even mix a little bit more. I'm going to use a little bit of my bigger brush that we used earlier on. I'm going to mix a little more green. Using my yellow and my blue again. And I'm going to do just along the bottom here. This little ridge here of grass that we have on the bottom. My strokes are just going to go straight up. Nothing fancy, real easy. Bring it right across. You want to get the sides, you can do that. There you go. Keep going. There you go. Now when this is all dry, we're going to add some highlights now, okay? And when it's dry, we're going to outline it in black. But in the meantime, we're going to take our small brush again, and we're going to take just our plain white. We're going to add just a few little highlights kind of down and around on our leaves while it's still wet, because we want to blend it just a little bit. The highlights do, it just makes our leaves and our stems just pop a little bit. And nothing's really a solid color. We always have something kind of mixed in there a little bit. Okay. And if you notice where the legs are, on the inside, I'm going to take a little bit of black. Now we're going to take a little teeny dot of black. We're not using a lot of black. This is the most black I really ever kind of put on my palette. Just like that. We're going to roll our brush. And I want you to do just a little bit of shading on the inside of each leg. Not all the way down, just a little bit on the inside. Black is a very strong color, and it'll blend a little better when we finish because we're going to outline everything in black, and you'll see how that it just gives it some unity, and we'll tie it all together that way. Okay. Just leave it like that for now. Now we're really getting down to the detail part, and again we're going to continue working with this brush. Now we need to put eyes on our bird. Now I don't want you to use the tip of the brush or the bristle part. Sometimes if you do, it's not going to be a nice circle or it's going to blob out. So here's a little trick. Turn your brush upside down and we're going to use the handle. You're going to dip it in the black. Just like that. You're going to establish where you want your eye to be on your bird. Push and release. Reapply the black again. Go to your next bird. Push and release. Same thing again. Push, release. Last but not least, we got our big chubby guy right here. Push. I pushed a little harder because I want his eye to be a little bigger because he's a big guy. Do it that way. You see, again, on our big bluebird, he's got some black dots. Same thing. You're going to push a little harder for bigger dots, a little lighter for smaller dots. And you can put them anywhere you want on this guy. your bird. I'm going to rinse off the end, wipe it down. I'm going to put some white dots on there. Same technique, just a different color. Tap it. Each time you want to put a dot, reapply the paint. Okay, I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, the rest of the time, when you're done with that, you're going to need a steady hand. Okay, you don't have to do it on the easel. Sometimes you need to lean. Your fine brush again. This is the make or break part. This is where you're going to outline everything on your canvas. The lines don't have to be really fine. They can be as thick or as fine as you like. And you're going to outline all the features on your bird. Don't forget to do the tail feathers. Don't forget to do the beaks. Don't forget to do their legs. Okay. That's how one's going to look. And we are going to also go over to our flowers. Don't forget to do your flowers. You're going to outline the top part. You're going to outline your petals. All in black. You can add some little accents on it. Here you have a little thing like that. Outline. Don't rush this. This is the most important part, are your details. So you're not going to rush. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit to each different one. I want to circle this entire head on my bluebird. And the same with his body. And its tail feathers. Going to need to outline very fine. One or both sides of your stem, depending on exactly how wide you painted yours in the first place. Outline your leaves in black. Don't forget to put your little black lines for the veins of your leaves. It's really just one little black stroke in the middle of each one. Can you see that? Okay. If you look at the finished product, you can see these little lines that accent around our flowers and around our birds, and what that does, it gives our piece just a little bit of movement. Looks like the birds are shaking, tail feathers are wiggling. So we want to add those little accent marks. It's really kind of simple. Again, we're going to outline this little guy here. Oh, we'll just go right over that. It's just got a big black beak. It's got a hook beak. We'll make it work. See, sometimes things happen. You make it work. Add your little accent marks down the back of your bird, around the tail feathers. This is after you finish outlining pretty much everything you need to do. Do this, bring it down here. Some accent marks here. Kind of up to your own discretion where you want to put these pieces. Put a couple here, maybe a little bit here. Don't forget to outline the rest of your bird here, and some strokes for the blades of grass on the bottom. I want to give you guys a time to start finishing up with your black outlines. And then the last thing you're going to do, you're going to rinse your brush really well. You've done the dark part. Now I just want to add some highlights. So you're going to take your white, and you're going to add some white highlights. Maybe some on the chest, on its head, on its beak, tails. What that does, it just makes it pop. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to just take your time, look at your piece, go back and forth, outline everything in black, look where you want to put your highlights, and I'll see some finished products in just a few minutes. See you in a little bit. And hopefully we're done. Wasn't that hard, right? Nice and easy if we take it step by step. I hope this helped you get through a very rough time right now that we're all experiencing. Know that we're all in this together, and that you can take a little break from it. Grab a paintbrush, canvas, whatever. We can make something beautiful out of a bad situation, all right? To recap, remember we just started with shapes, basic shapes. Real easy. Don't overwhelm yourself. Make sure you take it slowly. When you are done, you're going to have a beautiful piece. All right, those little details that kind of make or break your piece. And there you go. You have your completed project of a beautiful spring painting. I hope you enjoyed the time together painting with me. I know I enjoyed it with you. Continue to paint. Be safe. Be well. And I hope I'll see you again soon. Thank you.